Hi everyone. Today, of course, I'll be presenting my lesson plan that I've designed for John Smith for the student case study. I just want to start out by pointing out some of the things that I did before designing the lesson. So these are parts of the case study that we all worked on. So looking at the strengths and the weaknesses, the main weaknesses that I identified were his phonics abilities, his word reading, decoding and encoding, reading fluency, reading comprehension, and writing mechanics. So the main focus areas that I decided to recognize in the study were his writing mechanics, his sound reading or his phonics, his reading comprehension, and then his reading fluency. And because of the fact that his struggles with comprehension and fluency and his phonics, that was the number one goal that I looked at. So this is just an example of the goal that I had for his difficulty with phonics. So John will be able to identify a letter and letter combination sounds on flashcards with 100% accuracy by the end of the year, and then following that the different objectives. And for the lesson plan, I decided also to focus on phonics because of the fact that I think that is the most important aspect that he struggles with, because of the fact that other things depend so much on his phonics abilities. So that was the true focus for my lesson. Alright, so to discuss the lesson plan that I've developed for John Smith, I'd like to start out to point out that it was intended to be a one-on-one lesson, so it would just be me as the teacher and the student, and is geared towards remediation of the different areas that he struggles with. So specifically, my lesson that I've developed is focused on phonics, which is one of his focus areas that he's proven to have major deficits with that are hurting other parts of his learning. And specifically within phonics itself, the things that he has shown to struggle with most, based on his assessment results in the weight assessment, are his vowel sounds, his trigraph and digraph sounds, and additional sounds, all of which he scored rather poorly on in the weight assessment. And I thought that phonics would be the best place to start for him, given the fact that that's one of the areas that he struggles with, and the fact that phonics really acts as a building block for all of the other areas that he struggles with, like fluency and comprehension, because of the fact that when he has poor phonics, he oftentimes will miss certain vocabulary words, which hurts his fluency and therefore also hurts his comprehension. So this is sort of the bedrock of where all the other learning will actually take place. So what I've done for this lesson, given the fact that it's phonics and he has specific things he needs to work on, is I've designed multiple activities for him to work on that are going to give him the practice and assistance that he needs in order to learn those things. So the learning target that I wrote for this lesson is I will be able to read different sounds and show that I know them by sorting words and making words. And the standard that I used is use combined knowledge of all letter sound correspondences, syllabication patterns and morphology, to read accurately unfamiliar multisyllabic words in context and out of context, and decode multisyllable words. So both of which focused on letter sounds and different syllables, which he struggles with. And now to just talk about the different activities that I have planned. I actually have quite a few, all of which are aimed at the same goal of practicing those different sounds that he scored poorly on, but are just formatted in different ways to give him different types of practice. So the lesson's actually going to start out, if you see here, where the alphabet letter sounds are actually going to be read to him. So I, as the teacher, will make the sound that coincides with different letters, such as A or B, and what he'll be doing is he'll be responding by writing those letters on the board. So these are actually sounds that he's fairly confident with, and his scores are fairly decent. So this will act as a way for him to build confidence before we work on the specific sounds that he struggles with. So, like I said again, he'll be hearing the sounds at this point in the lesson and then writing them on the board. After this, hopefully his confidence will be built by his ability to do this, and the next thing that he'll be doing is he'll be using flashcards, and he'll be reading the flashcards and then making the sound that is displayed on the flashcards. And the flashcards are going to have those specific sounds that he struggles with. So they will be vowel sounds, digraphs, trigraphs, and additional sounds. So this is a part in the lesson where he most likely won't do as well on, and will be mainly where I give him the assistance and the scaffolding that he needs. So pointing out what specific sounds are made by each of the flashcards that he struggles with and giving him the support that he needs. So after this, the next activity that I have for him is a sorting activity. So what he'll be doing is I'll have several cutout words with the targeted sounds in them. So for example, fetch, catch, chair, chest, say, and play, all of which have common sounds within them. So for fetch and catch, they have the common ch sound in them. And what the student will be doing is I will be presenting a sound to him. So for example, I might say this sound, the ch sound, and he'll find all of the different words that I've presented to him, and he's going to group them based on each of the sounds that I say. So at the end, he'll have a group with each of the words that have that common sound. And this is just meant to help him recognize specific sounds that are made within words and just have a different angle of understanding the ones that he's struggling with. The next activity, following up this, he'll be looking at those words that he was just using, and then using a marker, he's going to circle the letters in each of the sounds that make the sound that is in common. So after this, the sorting activity, he'll have fetch and catch, for example, in a pile. So then at this point in the lesson, he'll be using a marker and he'll be circling the part of fetch and catch that are making that common sound, the ch sound. And this is again just helping him to isolate that sound from the other letters in it. So what is making it similar? The next part of the lesson is just meant to get him up and moving around rather than having him sit for 30 minutes. And he'll be playing phonics hopscotch. So in this, I'll either have like dry erase marker written down on the floor or with tape. I'll have different sounds written on the floor. And what I'll be doing is I will be saying a word to him with a specific sound in it, so fetch, for example. And then he'll respond by moving to the specific block of the hopscotch that has the sound. So this is meant for him to hear a word rather than just a sound, and then respond by moving towards the sound. So just reinforcing that recognition of recognizing the sound within a word. And then to end the lesson, the last activity I have is he'll be taking those cut out words from the sorting activity again, and what he'll be doing this time is he'll be slowly reading the words out loud. So for example, he'll read fetch slowly out loud, and the point of this is to try to recognize all of the other sounds that are in the word. So for example, he'll hear the F sound, the E sound, and then the targeted sound. And this is meant for him to recognize that while there is the targeted sound that he's been practicing, there are other sounds in it too, and it just helps him to break those things down. So he'll go through that with each of the words that he has sorted, and that just further reinforces everything that he's been doing up until this point. So just to talk about the UDL and what exactly I did in regards to that is for the representation, throughout all the different activities, I provided a lot of different ways to represent the same content. So they're all focused towards the same things, practicing those letter sounds that he struggles with. So for the first one, he's listening to a sound and then writing it. Then the second, he's reading a sound and verbally practicing saying it. Then he's reading a word and sorting it based on the sound. And then he's reading and then identifying a specific sound. Then he's hearing, and then which he responds by moving. And then the last one, he's reading and speaking, and then identifying different sounds. So a lot of different ways and different angles that he's approaching the same goal. For the engagement aspect of the UDL, all of these different activities are, like I said, working towards the same goal, but they're intended to be different from one another and providing him different ways of doing the same activity so that it can be a bit more fun than practicing the same one throughout the whole lesson. And I put in things like writing on the board, which students enjoy, or the hopscotch activity, which they enjoy, or cutting up the papers into cutting up the vocab into individual sounds, because that might be more engaging and fun for the student to do. And then for the last part, multiple means of expression. Like I've been saying, the different activities, the variety that I've developed for this lesson will just be a great way for the same information that he needs to learn because of his deficits to be presented in different ways, and therefore he's also responding in different ways to each of them. So he's not just saying the sounds throughout the whole lesson, he's also writing them, he's moving to show that he knows them, he's cutting out individual sounds, and he's sorting, so he's doing multiple different things to show that he's actually learning the information. So that's all I have for the lesson, and the main thing is that I've planned a lot of different activities aimed at the same goal, and it's meant to address those deficits that he has with his phonics.